Activists in Zimbabwe are either behind bars or in hiding. Dozens of thought leaders, including journalists, have been raising the alarm against corruption. But they've been met with an iron fist from the government, which crippled planned protests on Friday. Let's get an update on the situation from Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights. Kumbirai Mafunda joins us now from Harare. Thank you very much for your time. So more than 60 people have been arrested so far following last week's attempted protests. On what charges are they being held?
The charges vary from incitement to commit public violence. The charges range from breaching the national lockdown regulations, in which authorities accuse them of unnecessary movement during a lockdown. They also accuse them of plotting to urge people to revolt against President Mnangagwa's government.
So some have been arrested for merely tweeting about Zimbabwe's problems. Surely those kinds of attacks on the freedom of speech won't stand up in a court of law.
We are seeing a worrying trend in which Zimbabweans are no longer free to express themselves online. You've put it right to say people are being targeted for expressing themselves on social media, not only on Twitter alone, on WhatsApp groups. We've seen this ever since the lockdown was effected. From March, we have seen Zimbabweans being arrested, prosecuted, persecuted for allegedly undermining authority of the president, for allegedly contravening crimes to do with like criminal nuisance, for posting or participating or communicating on social media groups like WhatsApp, on Twitter. So we're seeing a criminalization of people's freedoms online.
Journalists are among the most harassed at the moment. What's being done to try and free Hopewell Chinono, who has been in jail for 2 weeks on accusations of mobilizing that foiled protest? And why hasn't he been released on bail like so many others of those protesters?
The bail hearing for Hopewell Chinono was today at the High Court, together with that of Jacob Ngaruvume, the lawyers from Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights, led by Beatrice Mtetwa, Moses Ngomo, Doug Cottard, including this guy from this other law firm represented by Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights, Gift Mtisi. They were in court today. The judge heard their appeal. They wanted them to be released in court because they were denied bail by the lower court, which is the Magistrates Court. So their appeal was heard today by Justice Shitapi in the High Court, and the judge reserved judgment or ruling on their bail appeal to Thursday.
So why is it taking so long for their bail hearing to be heard?
We are worried, as you have said, that it's not only Hope Chinono. There's French Kore, the Samuel Takawira, who were also arrested during the lockdown period. The wheels of justice in Zimbabwe turn at a slow pace.
So, like all other prisoners in Zimbabwe, those jailed following those protests are at enormous risk of contracting COVID-19 due to the appalling conditions in prisons. Are any attempts made by officials to try and protect the health of detainees or curb the spread of the virus?
The legal representatives from Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights have put this to authorities, as you have seen with the detention of Jacob Ngaruvume, with the detention of Hope Chinono in the police cells, where the lawyers really fought hard to have the police cells sanitized. But that could not happen, and they had to fight so bravely for them to be allowed to put on their PPE in police cells. So it's something of concern to say the detention of people is just unnecessary. We're seeing an unprecedented clampdown on people's freedoms in Zimbabwe. We're seeing an attempt by the government to create a petrified society in Zimbabwe.
Certainly a very worrying situation there. Thank you very much to Kumbirai Mafunda from Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights for that update on the situation.